a bit doing yellow. Doing yellow, she Mamina. A bit near a counting and she a boy and 11 by the time a little killer. By the time we came, she I never took on Malaro. He never Mamadi, Lady, always up. By the time we did not let Swella Upada. Kilita, what day? The total mother TV on the total people away. My mother, she here, she my shit up. Shooting, Killis, Korea, or the she would iron, she said, like it up, say as I change like it. Swimmers were shoot. Shoot me out of my sickly side. The woman did it. The one is the material, always exactly that, Sinjay. Chiconia. My dear, Marty never, the level Chiconia, the level Sinjay. Matimu di Mao say in Jigilita. Low out for me, Chiconia. The level the knowledge Chiconia, so long for a Chiconia. The Yemen. Shooting, killing, shooting, killing, shooting, the lingo never. You never tell who baby or so much. Told you, so we don't told you so. The lingo never, the tiny. You tell me I told you and the lap, the treasure. A boo, she paid the love level, the treasure. So you saw the love level, the treasure. You never tell who never pay who so levels of who's here on the time. So the have the dilemma when only how the treasure. So when you share on the home, the time, you did that, I do it to her. Any woman time. Maria, David, the one, any David, the one you judge out. In the set your.
Yesterday, Sarah mentioned how, with the discovery of flaws in one's mind-body process of one's existence, seeing the truth, one will see the truth, and when one sees the truth by seeing flaws, one will not esteem such objects. One will not hold these in high esteem. There will be no delight in these objects, and one will not be attached to these objects, and there will be no grasping as an aftermath of attachment. In this way, one is free from this round of defilements, round of kilesas, namely avijja, ignorance, tanha, attachment and craving, and upadana, grasping. In the case of ignorance, there are two kinds of ignorance: not knowing the truth, knowing wrongly. So both these kinds of ignorance will be removed. This ignorance and attachment and grasping constitute the round of kilesas. And as one activates mindfulness, every time one activates mindfulness, these three things which constitute the round of kilesas will be removed. Thus it is said, without mindfulness, kilesas will arise. With mindfulness, they will be removed. And when one is mindful, these kilesas will not enter your stream of consciousness. If you are mindful of every arising in the body, with diligent effort and precise aiming, sustaining your mindfulness, thus deepening your concentration and developing or penetrating the true knowledge, true nature of realities. And thus one will be purified of these two kinds of ignorance, avijja, which are also kilesas, that is not knowing the truth and knowing wrongly. And when there is the ignorance, two kinds of ignorance are absent, there will be no attachment as a result of ignorance, and there will be no grasping or clinging. This is the essential thing. And with mindfulness, kilesas will not enter the stream of consciousness. Without mindfulness, they are bound to enter. They are bound to assault your mind. Sarah gives this simile in an empty bottle. An empty bottle, there's no water or no vacuum in it. So long as there's nothing in it, there will be air in the empty bottle. And the air will remain in the bottle as it is, unless you put water in it, which will replace the water, which will replace the air, or heat this bottle, which will drive out the air, or you suck it. If you don't do these three things, the air will remain in the water as it is. And when you put water or heat, you apply heat or suction, then the air inside the bottle will be removed. So this is the simile which will explain the presence or absence of kilesas in your stream of consciousness. Today he would like to continue on this subject. Kilesas are compared figuratively to fires, in the sense of torment, in the sense of heat, burning. Because one's lifetime is always accompanied with these kilesas in the form of dormant state or latent forms. And when they are lying dormant in one's mind, and when occasion arises, when conditions are fulfilled, these dormant or latent forms of defilements will rise up and grow into violent actions by body and speech. So as for ordinary fires, they burn, but they burn on a temporary basis, for a while. And it's not very serious. In the case of these kilesa fires, they're always there, not for the time being, because they are lying dormant and latent in one's mind. Sometimes it's burning, sometimes it's smoldering, sometimes little sparks, sometimes burning with little force, at other times burning with full force. Then it becomes very difficult to extinguish. Just like these fires, when the fires take place, it will burn, it will be very hot. Then the aftermath is also not very desirable. After the fire, there will be this black cinders and black things left. And they will not be clean when the fire has taken place. So if you're not careful, these fires are very dangerous. And the best way to extinguish fires is prevention, to prevent fire. Prevention is the best. And even if the fires take place, if you are mindful, then you'll be able to extinguish such fires easily. If left as it is bound to grow into great conflagration from small sparks. So also, if one is not mindful, so long as one has not extinguished all the latent or dormant forms of kilesas, one is bound to endure these tormenting fires of kilesas. Just like ordinary fires, they are very hot, and they will leave the mind weakened. They weaken the mind. Just like when the fires are taking place, everything is burned up and all the cinders, all the black things are left. So also, the aftermath of these kilesa fires is that the mind becomes very weak, weakened, and the mind will become very sensitive. The mental resistance will be lowered, especially against the worldly conditions. One will not be able to face the vicissitudes of life. Thus, one will become elated and dejected about desirable and undesirable objects. So, this is how the root cause lies in the prevention with the application of mindfulness, sati. And even if one is mindful, if mindfulness is not effective or not sufficient, not strong enough, then also one will not be able to prevent these fires of kilesas. And thus, being dominated by kilesas, in the end, one lands into trouble, one is bound to endure sufferings. And that's why the Buddha has preached the Dharma with much compassion and loving kindness, expounding this, showing the way of mindfulness in order to prevent the fires from arising, from burning, and even if the fires take place, to be able to extinguish them and nip them in the bud. So, at every mindfulness of this feeling, if, in a sustained manner, as much as the mindfulness is strong, there will be no attachment. One will not take delight, one will not be hooked by lust. There will be no attachment about the objects, because one will not take delight in these objects, because one is mindful. And there will be no desire to there will be no desire to want more and more. And even if there's some kind of medium form of desires, since one is always mindful, one will be able to overcome these attachments with the practice of mindfulness. Of course, the best thing is to prevent before the fires take place. Prevention is the best. Then we'll be able, and even if fires take place in the beginning, in a small way, with mindfulness, one will be able to extinguish them. Thus, with mindfulness, one will be able to extinguish them easily if one is able to activate mindfulness. But the best is prevention. Preventing better than when after it has taken place. If, however, the fires have taken place unavoidably, then they have to be extinguished with the activation of mindfulness. Thus, the practice of mindfulness is to prevent, firstly to prevent these fires of kilesas from arising, and even if they have taken place, to extinguish them easily. And as I said, the best is to prevent, and if there's no fires of kilesas, one will feel peaceful. And even if the fires take place and you can extinguish them, nip in the bud by the application of mindfulness, then these fires will not continue to burn anymore, and you will find peace. So that's why the yogis, the meditating yogis, always say after their satisfactory practice that they are very much relieved from the kilesa fires. They feel so calm and peaceful and cool. Those who are not aware of the method of practice of this way of mindfulness, or even if they are aware of this practice, they have not practiced to satisfactory stage, they will be burned or they will be overcome or dominated by these kilesa fires of avijjhatana, upadana, ignorance, craving and grasping. There will be no prevention, and when they start burning, they will realize much suffering will arise when these fires take place, because they are not prepared for these fires, and they will find it very difficult to extinguish these fires of kilesas, because they are enjoying life, they are being absorbed in the worldly life. They are like playing with fires. So, because there's no preventive measures, no instruments, no equipment to prevent the fires, or even if a fire takes place, there's no facilities to escape from fires, they land into trouble. Just like when a house is built without any these facilities or equipments like fire masks or fire extinguishers and fire escape, and and also no facilities to communicate with the fire brigade, fire department in case of emergency. When the fires take place, they'll all be caught up in the fires without being able to do anything. They cannot help themselves, neither can other people help them. So they are bound to be caught up in these catastrophe and land into trouble. Because they do not know the method of practice in order to prevent the fires, the correct method, the sure method of prevention when the fire takes place. Since they are not prepared, there's no equipment, no facilities, they are bound to be caught up in this. Not seeing the flaws in the fires, they play with the fires. So only when they take place, they will land into trouble. They're very pathetic, and they'll be caught up in this fire. Thus the Buddha has given a method to prevent from fires, and also if when fires take place, to be able to extinguish them in time. And if one practices with faith and devotion and desire, as much as faith and devotion and desire arise, one will be able to practice to prevent these fires from taking place, and at least understand the method of prevention. Then they will achieve peace and happiness. Therefore, when there are facilities to practice, when there is time to practice, one needs to practice to understand this method of prevention and extinguishing. The preventive measures is the practice of the way of mindfulness. As the saying goes, vigilant mindfulness should be made the mind's guard. That is, every immediately arising object should be noted with diligent effort and precise aiming, pinpoint precision. Thus, those kilesas which can arise if you are not mindful will not be given a chance to arise, to enter your stream of consciousness. In this way, you are said to be prevented, you are said to be protected from these fires of kilesas. Vigilant mindfulness of rising should be made the mind's guard, watching the abdomen. Vigilant mindfulness of every falling should be made the mind's guard. Thus, the kilesas will not have a chance to enter your stream of consciousness, and in this way, you are said to be protected. Vigilant mindfulness of sitting should be made the mind's guard. And the same goes with vigilant mindfulness of stiffness, tension, heat, cold, thinking, planning, remembering, and all these psychophysical phenomena. Thus, vigilant mindfulness of these psychophysical phenomena should be made the mind's guard. The mind will be guarded, protected with the vigilant mindfulness. This is prevention, a way of prevention, and a way of overcoming the kilesa fires. It is quite easy. Only thing is practice with diligent effort and pinpoint precision, with faith and devotion and desire to realize the benefit. And as much as you activate mindfulness, you are bound to reap the benefits. If you are mindful for 1 minute, there are 60 seconds and 1 minute. So at the rate of 1 second per extinguishing fires, 60 times the fires will be extinguished. And in 5 minutes, 300 fires will be extinguished, or 300 times. And in 1 hour, you can just calculate 3,600 times the fires will be extinguished. So in this way, you have to save, just like saving money, accumulate these wholesome deeds, accumulate this mindfulness. And when they are accumulated, they become there's a heap, great heap of mindfulness. And thus, the unmindfulness and fires, kilesa fires, will not be able to penetrate this heap of thick wall of mindfulness. Just like when there's a thick wall of cool air, the heat will not be able to penetrate. So when the practice of mindfulness, you are said to be building this wall of cool of cool air, so that the heat of kilesas, fires, will not be able to penetrate. This is your immediate benefit. With the systematic practice of this mindfulness, one is said to be protected. As the saying goes, vigilant mindfulness will be made the mind's guard. You'll be guarded from the kilesa fires if you are doing in a systematic way. And thus you'll be secure from these kilesa fires. You'll not be attacked, assaulted by these kilesa fires. And when you are secure from these fires, you'll be free from the domineering kilesa fires. If you are free, as much as you are free, there will be peace. And these are the causes for genuine happiness. If you are protected, you'll be secure. Security will lead to freedom and eventually to peace. And those who wish to live in peace, live with genuine happiness, are to practice this way of mindfulness by learning the correct practice. Thus, they will be able to prevent these fires from burning. And even if these fires take place, they will be able to extinguish them easily with the practice of mindfulness. And thus, being energized, they will be able to be secure and be free from these kilesas and realize peace and happiness. In the text is given this how one can enjoy this practice, or one can become delighted in the practice. And this description is quite noteworthy. As is said with the practice of way of mindfulness, one should vigilant mindfulness. One can make vigilant mindfulness as the mind's guard, with the mindfulness of every rising in the object in the body. As one can also develop this effort with the application of effort and pinpoint precision, one can sustain one's mindfulness on the arising object, thus deepening the concentration. And when one is able to deepen one's concentration, one will become free from these 5 kinds of hindrances or obstructions to practice, the undermining factors to develop knowledge. First of all, we have this kamicchana nivaranas, the hindrances of sense desires. Because one is able to deepen one's practice, there will be no hankering after sense objects. Thus one will be free from these obstructions. One will be free from these hindrances of sense desires. And secondly, one will be free from this ill will. There will be no anger, because the noting mind is mindfulness is continuous, without any break, without any interruption. One will be free from this vyabhada nivaranas, hindrances of ill will. There will be no aversion, no anger, no malice, and so on. And because one is energetic in one's practice, because one has deepened the practice, so one must be energetic. Because one is energetic in one's practice, there will be no slackness, and there will be no sliminess, no congealing, no heaviness, no sloth and torpor. One will be energetic. Thus one is said to be free from these hindrances of sloth and torpor. And because one is able to direct one's mindfulness, noting mind towards the object in a very close manner, because one is able to stay very closely with the arising object, there will be no restless and worry. And from the beginning of the practice, one has developed this faith and devotion in the practice. And during the practice also, one is able to verify these statements, achievements with one's own experiential knowledge. Thus there will be no skeptical doubt about oneself or the practice. So in this way one will be free from these hindrances, because one is able to deepen one's concentration. And such yogis are bound to be satisfied because they are free from hindrances. Their mind is clear, their mind is pure. And when they become satisfied, when they are free from these hindrances of progress, there will be delight in the practice. There will be rapturous feeling, chills and thrills in their body, some goose flesh in the body, hair standing on end, pervading kind of happiness. These are minor rapturous feelings, not major ones. They become happy, then as much as to say to themselves, what a practice it is. Not bad. Because the vigilant mindfulness has made the mind's guard. The mind is said to be protected. Thus you are secure and you are free from these hindrances, and you achieve peace. Because you are able to deepen your concentration, there will be this piti, rapturous feeling arising. There will be delight and joy in the practice. This is a very minor form of rapturous feeling, which will lead to the powerful forms of rapturous feeling, such as feeling as though one is floating in the air, or sitting on a balloon, or flying in the air. All these sensations, all these feelings will arise in this powerful form of rapturous feeling. Of course, chills and thrills will also be there. And then one will not wish to change one's posture of sitting. One will not wish to change this posture, and one will not find any difficulty in sitting for hours on end. 1 hour, 2 hours, no problem for him or her. And as for the eyes, he or she will not wish to open his or her eyes. So good is the practice. So delightful is the practice. And one is said to be enjoying the sitting or walking, whatever it is. This is the powerful form of rapturous feeling, powerful piti, balava piti. Because of this piti, it becomes powerful, and one will experience the physical and mental peace and tranquility, passaddhi. And this is cause for happiness. It's just like when in summer, hot weather, when you're coming from outside, you are as if you are going into an air-conditioned room. You feel so comfortable. You will experience physical and mental peace. And this will lead to bliss, sukha. And with this bliss, as a result of this bliss, the concentration will deepen more and more. And the mind will become serene, the mind will calm and collected, and this is a very distinctive features of this mindfulness at this stage. And when the mindfulness is energized, you will see things as they are. As the saying goes, when whoever is concentrated will see things as they truly are, such as the law of cause and effect, the process of cause and effect. And if one continues to practice, one is bound to see the universal characteristics of psychophysical phenomena, such as the phenomena arising and passing away, and finding them they are unsatisfactory, suffering, and that things are arising on their own, not governable, not manageable. They are arising on their own, at their own will, not at your will, not anybody else's will. And you will come to a stage where when you are able to note things, experience the fast arising and passing away of psychophysical phenomena, and a special development of the mind and knowledge. And this is the one will, at this stage, one will feel so good and so unusual perception of the Dhamma. One will come to think that one has realized the Dhamma finally. Because of this mindfulness, the your mind is protected from the entry of kilesas. Thus you are achieving security and freedom from the domineering kilesas and achieve peace. So these four things, the protection, the security, freedom and peace, are the causes for genuine happiness, or they may be called the foundations for happiness. When one is able to realize these universal characteristics of psychophysical phenomena, such as the impermanence, the nature of impermanence, unsatisfactoriness and selflessness, with experiential knowledge, this is discovering the flaw. This is said to be discovering the flaws of existence. And this discovery is not from speculative knowledge, not from speculation, not from conceptualization. This is from experiential knowledge. If one sees these the characteristics, universal characteristics of impermanence and so on, by mere speculation and conceptualization, one will become depressed. Whereas if one discovers these flaws with experiential knowledge, then one will become energized and never depressed. They will never be de-energized. They will be energized. And this is the distinctive stage of attainment. One is said to be fully energized. And thus, the Buddha Dhamma is not to depress the mind, but to energize the mind. That's all for this evening. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.